တော်လန်ပြည်သူအလုံးကိုကျမတို့ပြည်သူပန်းတိုင်တွေးခေါ်လာအစီအစဉ်ပတ်စင်ထုတ်လွှင့်မှုအပိုင်း53
From this weekly People Goals, I would like to welcome all the public in this revolution.
ဒီလိုဆွေးနွေးတဲ့အချိန်မှာ
We will have the regular conversation and discussion, and we will make sure that the questions and comments from the public will be addressed. Today's topic is about the fake election of the SAC that is to be against with the solidarity. The SAC are facing the strong opposition by the public for their action of the unsuccessful coup d'etat. And as a result of their illegitimate action, they end up extending the terms of the State Administration Council from time to time. According to their terms, they were obliged to run an election within 6 months of their control over the sovereignty of the country. But they fail in their numerous terms. Now they are trying to attempt to run for an election by collecting statistics and information of the voters. But that sham election, it's to be against. But why? We have to participate in against this sham election. And what is their direction of the sham election? Other things that we will discuss today. And I will briefly introduce the speakers to you. We have Lway. Lway, it's from the Strategy Initiative Forum, SAFE, and we have Sithu Maung. He is from the CRPH, and we have Thit, the activist and ex-political prisoner. I am Thway, serving the moderator field, and I am the member of the Kachin State Civilian Movement. And we will have 2 rounds of questions by our panelists, and after that we will have a Q&A section for audience and member of publics. In order to begin our conversation, we have the first round of questions, for which I would like to invite Sithu Maung. Sithu Maung, the State Administration Council is planning to conduct the sham election. They made it very explicit that they will go about that. But on the other hand, NUG make it very bold that this year is the year that will have the turning points in this election, in this revolution. But then again, what would be your impressions and opinion on all these dynamics and contexts? And please also introduce yourself as well. First of all, I would like to wish everyone to be safe and to be healthy. I am Sithu Maung. I am from the CRPH. I am the member of it, and I also got elected as the member of Parliament for the Babadan Township constituency. Today's topic is about to oppose the sham election with the solidarity of the people. As the moderator mentioned, in a normal situation, in a democratic society, why we have to against the election. So this is the first question to be addressed first. But in our Myanmar context, the election is not the solution for our problem. This is the concept that everyone accepts. The problem of our country, to begin with, the start of the 2021 revolution, it's triggered by the coup d'etat that ignored and reject the legal result of the election. That election result, as they give as the justification for their coup, is something that can be addressed with the different mechanisms and with the different approach rather than staging the coup. And staging the coup was used by the SAC as their political culture. That political culture is completely opposed by Myanmar people. And at the very beginning of the time, the SAC claimed that they did not stage the coup, but just control the sovereignty of the country.
6လုံးတစ်ခုဟာ
But this seems just as the propaganda. But this propaganda
ဖြတ်တန်းခဲ့ပြီ
is not accepted by the public for their political awareness and for their historical experience of having this kind of dynamic in the history.
ငါတို့ဘာမဆိုလုပ်ခွင့်ရတယ်ငါတို့ရဲ့အစီအမံ
Throughout
မှု
the
အောက်မှာ
whole history,
လိုက်ပါရမယ်ဆိုတဲ့ရွတ်ဆွဲ
it was shown that those who has arms control the country. But this is something not accepted anymore by the
ကျွန်
public.
တော်တို့စိတ်ပိုင်းဖြတ်ထားတယ်
And there is the clear political roadmap for the development of a country rather than the coup. But there might be other school of thought that election is the turning point of the political landscape. But then again, who turn the political landscape? It's to be questioned. There is this 2008 constitution, which we all know that is not a good one at all. So with all this consideration, with all this context, the sham election is to be against by the public with their solidarity. So this is something that I would like to draw everyone's attention first of all. Thank you very much. You mentioned about the role of the election as the fundamental rights of every democratic citizen. But then again, this SAC election is the result of the military dictatorship by forcing people with guns and with arms. And if people take very lightly and participate in this election, then people would end up being under this bad 2008 constitution and under this bad system. So this is what I understand from you. Now I would like to invite Go Min Thit, the leader of the SAC, Min Online, is trying to conduct this election in order to change his own skin that he hoped that people would accept if he wear a different hats or a different skin by as a result of the election. But then again, I would like to understand from you, how do you read the temperature of the people on this election? As far as we know, that the voter informations are being collected these days in some parts of the towns or in the residential area. So how would you see this election? Would this election be the turning point of the revolution? Thank you. I am the associate general secretary of the Burma Student Union. I would like to wish the public well, and I thank to them for their active participation in this program. Well, whatever justification that the SAC illustrated, what we can see is that they want to control their power. That is the only reason. And as a result of it, they are trying to come up with election in order to ease the revolution momentum. But then again, the this concept might probably um, be accepted by the lower political aware organizations or people or group. But as we all know that the SAC is taking the power of a country with their illegitimate position, and try to be the they try to find the legitimate solution for them to take this power. So this is this election that they use as a solution for them. We should not have any doubt about the election is the sham. They are just like feeding bones and 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 the lowest quality of a food to the people. We must not take that. They created this sham election for them to pretend as a civilian government. This is not the first time that we experience that. That same concept was used in the past. In in the 60s and in 1988, the military controlled this country openly or as well as from the behind the scenes. And we all know that they are bluntly staging the coup. They are being pressured about their action. So that's why they need to find the solution for them. We had this sham elections in the history for several times, and this is the one that they are having again. And this sham election, it's not for the development of the whole country. This election, this sham election, it's not to change the system, but it is just for them. If we would take it, then we will end up being in this lowest position. And I know that no one will accept that. As the moderator mentioned that voter information are being collected these days, but they just give it, they just do it as an alibi action, but rather they are trying to collect the information of the public who revolt, then we have to go against all of these activities. At this moment, I am not in a position to say the public to do this or to do that. I know that public are facing enormous pressure on the ground. So that's why I just want to say to the public that not to accept or not to engage or participate or accept this sham election. That's all I would like to say. And you mentioned about the role of the political parties to see the objective of this sham election. In this revolution, we have many forms of struggle. Some are taking armed struggle, some are taking non-armed struggle, but then there are all these bloodsheds, life being killed on a daily basis. So it is very important for the public not to waste all of them and not to participate in this in this election, and try to find possible way to go against the election, but to be careful not to risk their own life or their own security. That is what I observe from your contribution. And now I would like to ask Siama Lway, for SIF, your organization announced to go against this sham election. And I also would like to know what should we be prepared to go against the sham election. And I would also like to know what are the collective strengths that has been prepared to go against this sham election among the revolutionary groups and forces. If you can share all of them, it would be nice. Thank you. So first of all, I would like to talk about the goal of our revolution, which is the democratic federal to build the democratic federal country. Before talking about the goal of our future, what I would like to say it's about this sham election. This sham election, it's to be conducted by the illegitimate institution. So as a result, this sham election, it's not legal. First of all, the staging of a coup is the illegal act by the illegitimate institution. So now we use this word sham election. Sham election is not enough terminology. I would say this election that they are talking about is illegal election. This should be illegal election rather than sham election as a terminology that we use. This illegitimate SAC want to be legitimate one, so that's why they try to use this sham election or the illegal election to legitimize themselves. But then again, some of the political party might want to buy this concept, and some political organization believe that this is the democratic characteristics to have election and etc etc, and they are not wrong, but the characteristics of election the characteristics of democratic society is not all about having election. So it is our job and it is our responsibility and it is the responsibility of everyone, including the leaders, to go against this sham election. So it is more true for the political party to go against this sham election, to have the genuine election. So in order to make sure that the political party have the true representations of the people, they have to evaluate their position themselves in relation to the sham election and to listen to what people want. So this is something that I would like to say. Now, second question is about what is our goal of the revolution? Well, in order to answer this, we do not want to have any form of dictatorship, including the military dictatorship. So we want to uproot the dictatorship. That's why we participate in this struggle for many years. We cannot, and we must not accept to reactivate the 2008 constitution. The 2008 constitution is to be abolished once and forever, completely. Only then self-determination, self-rule, share rule can be guaranteed. Not being able to build the federalism in our country, we will be in the forever vulnerable position that the dictatorships and the military dictatorship will come back from time to time. Looking at this sham election, they are trying to reactivate the 2000 constitution. This is no doubt about it. But instead of this sham election, we have to build the federalism. In order to build the federalism, we have to uproot any form of dictatorships. This is something we must never forget. This is something we always have to go for in this revolution. Another thing that I like to talk about is the political roadmap under the guidance of the NUCC. There are 12 steps. We are now with step 7. We are to move up to step 8. We are trying to increase our momentum to go up this 12 steps political roadmap. But then again, all of these will take time and things will not be achieved overnight. We have to prepare ourselves.
Hello.
ဟယ်လိုကျမ line ကြာသွားတယ်ထင်ပါတယ်
Well, I have the impression that my internet connection is not so good, and I was out for a bit. But what I was
နိုင်ငံရေးလမ်းပြ
about
မြေပုံ
is
12ချက်
building the federal
UCC
country. In order to build the federal country, we have 12 steps of the political roadmap, and we are trying to reach to step 8 in order to
ဆို
reach
ပေမဲ့လည်း
up to
တော်လှန်
the
ရေးကို
step
ပန်းနိုင်ကိုမရောက်နိုင်သေးဘူးပေါ့လေဒါပေမဲ့လို့
we
ဒီ
are using all of our attempts and energy. But then again,
ချင်းအားဖြင့်ကျမတို့မျှော်မှန်းတဲ့ Federal ပြည်ထောင်စုကဘလို့မှ
what
ရ
I would
နိုင်
like
မှာ
to say
ဒါ
is
ကြောင့်မို့လို့ဒီစစ်အကြမ်းဖက်စစ်ကောင်စီပြုလုပ်မဲ့ရွေးကောက်ပွဲကိုတရားမဝင်တဲ့ရွေးကောက်ပွဲကို
this sham election, or this illegal election
ကိုကျွန်မကတော့ပြောချင်ပါတယ်လို့
It's the type of election that everyone should
စစ်ကောင်စီကစစ်ရာဇဝမှုတွေကျူးလွန်နေ
oppose. If anyone join in this election, then those who join in this election in other hands, on the other hand, means supporting the brutalities, atrocities,
အဖွဲ့အစည်းမဆိုဘယ်လူ
killing,
ကိုမဆို
murder by the SAC to its own people. So those who join in this election
တရားမဝင်တဲ့ရွေးကောက်ပွဲသည်ကျမတို့
are those
ပြည်ထောင်စု
who support the murderer. Second thing is that this Sham election will not guarantee the future or the federal future that we want. So that is
ရှင်ခုနပြောသလိုပဲ
the election that would be organized by the perpetrators. Those who join in this election is for the supporter for the perpetrator.
တူတယောက်ချင်းပဲဖြစ်ဖြစ်မပါဝင်မပူးပေါင်းဖို့
When the perpetrators would ask for their accountability and responsibility at the later stage, those who join in the election will also have to bear such responsibilities and accountabilities in supporting the perpetrators. The bad 2008 constitution is a constitution that we have to oppose. So this is what I would like to share with you for the time being. Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution. As everyone mentioned that in this election topic, the role of the political parties are very enormous. If the political parties are true enough, if the political parties listen to the voices and need of the people, then it is a job and it is a responsibility of the political party to stay away from this election, but to correct the future that we want. And I also observe from you that there are 12 steps political roadmap under the guidance of the NUCC, and you are trying to you mentioned that step 8 it's to be achieved, and people are eager to understand when all of these would be achieved, and we know that things cannot be happened overnight. But at the same time, you also highlight that it is a role of the public to go against this sham election so that all the 12 steps roadmap, the political roadmap, would be much more effective and efficient in reaching its goal. That is what I learned as well. And you also mentioned that this sham election is to reactivate 2008 constitution, which is bad enough already. So that's why it is a job of and responsibility of everyone not to take part in this election. So you reminded us and you freshen up our consideration. Dear public and audience, we have concluded the first round of discussion by the panelists. And if you have any particular questions or comments, and please make use of the Q&A box, the comment box. Now we will start the second round of questions. I would like to invite Go Sithu Maung. The domestic revolutionary forces and international community do not accept this sham election, and they are calling for all sort of campaigns to go against it. And it is also important to have solidarity in against this sham election. What is the preparations of the NUG, CRPH in terms of getting support and attentions of the international community to go against this sham election? What if people would be forced to cast the vote in this sham election? How public should go against in voting? Thank you very much.
ဒုတိယပိုင်းပြန်လဲဆွေးနွေးခွင့်ရတာကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်အဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်
Thank you for the second round of questions. Regarding election, just immediately after the SAC announcement of the Sham election, if we look at the response from the international community, that we see very clearly there has been a loud negative response towards the military planned Sham election, not only from the region, but also from the war, and were able to raise that response to the global level. And if we look at our revolution, the strength of the people, the support of the people is the key. People are the constituents, and that the people position is very important. That shows that in the NUCC as well, that we also already have a joint action plan against the Sham election. We'll be implementing the different activities also with it as well, and that we are also doing the different campaigns as well, and that at the same time what we have also seen is that what we have seen is that in the same period, so whenever there is an election just changing people and without changing the system doesn't mean anything. It doesn't bring the change we want. What we are trying to do is not changing the uniform. We are not talking about the changing people. What we want is a genuine system, genuine political change, and that's something we have agreed on. We have a charter, we have agreement to build a federal democracy. That's the path we are on. That's the path we will and we shall continue. If we accept this election, we're gonna see another round of uniform military in the parliament, and that's something we have to be very clear about. And this is what we have been communicating with the people. People now have much more awareness, and that as well, and that it is no election is not a silver bullet. It's not a miracle, miracle that miracle like something that will cure all the ills like that. It is there is no such thing as well, and that it is something we need to understand that the election should be done systematically, democratically as well. That it is important also to when it comes to this, I think it is important to engage closely with the people and do the campaign for the people to aware about it, because this election is not the result, it's not the resolution as well, and that it is important that from the military warfare or the political warfare, diplomatic warfare front line, we are focusing on where we need to go and where we should be going, and that's how we are going ahead in really against this Sham election. Thank you, Sia, for very concise and the key messages that you have given regarding the Sham election. That so in Sithu Maung's response, and that he had also highlighted that what is important in Myanmar is changing not changing the government, not changing the people who are in power, but to change the political system. To have a deep political reform is more important. At the same time, he also reiterated that this Sham election is not a solution to the political problems or crisis in Myanmar. It is that also they're important for the NUG CRPH, that CRPH also that will also be need to work to how they will be working together, talking about the activities in rallying against the Sham election. So let me invite to Siamat Bipungwe once again. Siamat. So my question to you is that what will be the significant differences of the 2018 election? I'm talking about the military, how military has been preparing to how the military has been preparing to for the as well. How about the NUG? What the NUG is NUG planning to do a significant political shift to stop the election? And then what will be the are the neighboring countries like Thailand, are they also linked with the Sham election? And that also in the activities against the Sham election, will the people be strongly participating in it? Will the pro-democratic forces from across the country, across the ideology, across the background, that for them to join in the efforts again in opposing the election? What are the approaches? What are the mechanisms? Thank you for the question, and also for the second round. Thank you for the question. First of all, there's this election, the military organizing is illegitimate and that it is a sham. So this is something none of the people like in this context. If we talk to that, well, there are some some international organizations, some political institutions will say that, well, political solution is the best for the political, crisis. It is true, but this election that the SAC, this military hunter and legitimate organization cannot organize election, and election is not a political settlement. It is not a political outrage. An election organized by an illegitimate organization is illegitimate. So there should be any support for that Sham election. None of the people, none of the political parties should support it, because political parties say they claim that they represent the people, and none of the people like the military. Because of their violence, because they are killing people, because they are destruction. Nobody liked the military hunter, and that's very clear from the people's resistance. Soon it will be 1st of February. That's the second year anniversary of the coup. And none of the people of Myanmar like the military hunter and like the coup that they have committed. So people are now suffering greatly under the oppression. People are at risk of their life. The youth are, even if they are staying home, they do not feel safe. They could be arrested. They could be killed at any time. That at any time they could be victims of an area attack. They could be attacks of area bombing. And despite these challenges, people are still resisting the military in various ways. And this is something we must keep in our mind. Any political parties, if the political party, if you represent the people, why would you, contest in this election when you know the people are against it? It is important for political parties to ask themselves, what is their political value? What is their political dignity? So 2023 illegitimate Sham election should not take place. If it did take place, there will be more violence and aggression, and that more problems. That's how I concluded. Why am I saying this? Because currently, military is pushing Thit to organize the 2023 election. Even the preparation period, we are seeing an increase in the violence. That the military is now conducting that, the list of the families, and that in areas where they cannot check their family list, they are shelling them with artillery. They are sending airstrikes. They are burning villages because they cannot get the population list, and they are targeting the civilians, communities. That they are torturing them. They are killing them. This is what is happening, and we have eyewitnesses. We are seeing this happening on the ground if they cannot get the population list. And then any youth is considered by the military as a target. that once they get the population list, once they know how many people are of which age they are in a family, they are using it. They are using they are doing the voter list as a pretext to target the youth, to arrest the youth. If we look at it, if this election is if they really get to organize this illegitimate sham election, then there will even be more danger in Myanmar. There will be more violence in Myanmar. There will be more harm to civilians. So it is important for all of us to stand together to say no to this illegitimate sham election. Secondly, what will happen if this illegitimate sham election is held by the military? SAC claims that they will transfer the power to the winning party. That is out of question. There is no need to ask a question at all. Who will be the winning party in such little election? The election they organize, their party will or their proxy party will win. Even a child knows this answer is as simple as that. So the fact that the military promised to transfer the power to the ruling party, that said that there is nothing to talk about. That's not nothing to be, to put your trust in. Because if the legitimate election is held and then they have a proxy party winning the election, then it is in a way prolonging the suffering and the dictatorship in Myanmar. That's why we are saying oppose the illegitimate election. But some people, some political parties can say that, well, if we don't contest the election, that maybe they will dissolve our political party. A political party, in my humble opinion, like some of the political party have been very clear. SNLD has announced that party getting dissolved is part of their life, and it is part of the cycle of a party. If a political parties have the public support, they can establish a political party anytime. What they need is the party support base. So please don't lose sight of that. It is important for political parties not to join the military, in this nation. It is also important that the ethnic revolutionary organization do not talk to them, do not engage with them, because if you talk to them, if you engage with them, you are learning some legitimacy. So we need to push the pressure on that. Don't talk to them to engage them, but don't ask me what to do. Don't ask me what they should do, because different organizations with different things to do, different role to play. Political parties will need to have a political strategy and the way they engage in this political crisis. And we come from different contexts, we come from different backgrounds, we come from different areas. So maybe we won't have a same strategy or approaches. I don't believe so. So it is important to find the right way to oppose, and that the fight back against this as well. And the same goes for the public. That our people are strongly supporting the democratic forces and in the resistance against the military junta. And I strongly believe that people will continue to oppose the military junta and the legitimate election. It is important our people to be more focused on their security and safety, to ensure that our youth remain safe and secure, and also in the struggle against the military, it is important for us to take the necessary precautions to be safe and secure. We don't want our youth to be put in the prison, or if they are all killed, who will continue this revolution. For this revolution to continue, for this revolution to remain its momentum, we need the youth. So you need to place importance on the security. I believe in the youth. I admire the youth. I'm inspired by the youth, and also I'm very in awe, and that inspired by all the leaders of this revolution as well. That it is important that all of us must resist this military junta. But how do we resist this? It is important for us to be pragmatic and select the option which is the least endangering to your life and to who you are, your family. Another point I would like to add is that in Myanmar, to be able to address the political issues in Myanmar, the terrorist military junta has never opted for political solution. If we look back in history, if we look back 1990 election results, or if you look back 2020 election results, although the election results indicate a civilian government who has been elected, they cannot accept the result, and that's why they have conducted the coup. And in Myanmar, military coups are not new. It happens, often. We don't want that. We want to stop this kind of, system. For that, we cannot go we're not move forward as a unitary state. We need to establish federal democracy system as a federal union. So it doesn't matter who you are, that it is important, it is important to recognize that either you're the civilian resisting the military, or you are the part of the leaders from the the political front or the revolutionary front, or if you are inside if you're a political leader still inside the country, whoever you are, wherever you may be, it is important to think about what is the ultimate goal of what is our ultimate political goal. Therefore, especially in particular for the ethnic revolutionary leaders, what we want is an equality, and that equality and the self-determination. Do you think that the military can guarantee it? No, they can't. It's so far from the truth. And that if this illegitimate sham election take place, then we will definitely lose our hopes as well. So it is important that we need to we also need to fight back against it as well. It is not something that we cannot accept, or we cannot say it, and we have that it is important for us to fight back against it as well. And the international community that it is that it is if the international community support is done by the people of Myanmar and the world of the Myanmar, they don't need to support financially, technically for the military to organize the legitimate election. It is important that international community, if they are supporting, providing assistance or funding for the sham election that military will organize, it is a very clear sign of ignoring and the will of the people, that none of the people of Myanmar like the military junta. They don't want to stay under the military control. They don't want a dictatorship, with the military behind the scene as well. It is important to respect and acknowledge the will of the people, and it is also important to recognize the people's desire for democracy and their human rights as well. It is also important the international community and organizations also need to respect international laws and shall not support the military junta in any way. Because if they're supporting the military junta in any way, then they themselves are complicit to the war crimes and the crimes and community that the military is organizing. It is in a way guaranteeing the cycle of impunity for the military. That's what I would like to discuss. Thank you very much. Thank you, Siama, for the discussion. And Siama has already, raised a lot of important points, in particular about the political parties. It is important for the political parties to think about their political dignity. And the Siama has clearly reminded us that how important political dignity is for political dignity is. Military has always relied on force and weapons to resolve any political crisis. By looking back at the 1990 elections or 2000 election, instead of finding a political solution to a political crisis, military has relied on weapons and military use on force to respond to it. If we remain under the dictatorship of the military, then we'll live in fear and will always be controlled by force as well. Another point Siama has raised is that about that political political cycle of life about it as well, that a political party could get dissolved is part of it. But if the people support you, they have a strong supporter base of the political party can be established at any time. It is an important message to them that that political parties and as well as on the the groups and organizations as well, and that it is also that it is also has given us a special points into what we have to be aware about as well. Thank you for that. So therefore, as for the second round, I would like to invite Xiamin Didi as the third speaker. So the election that the military organized will not be a political solution. And that if we look, we have seen that in the past. We are also seeing it. We are also seeing recently 2020 as well. But right now, the way the military is setting up is a legitimate sham election, for the political reasons or the political reason. Some of the political parties and the ethnic parties might decide about, contesting this election. We have seen in the recent days that the military Ngeal has been going to the community and the Kachin, also in churches.
Dr.
Karam of the Kachin religious leader has been arrested and detained as well. If we look at it, they are trying to set up their political play politically. They are trying to, they are trying to reach out to those, the influential leaders as well. And that means that they are trying. So it is what does political approach need to do as well, and that so political leaders, what should they do? What should they do to protect such context as well, and that for the people, do they follow the revolutionary, path of the energy? If you resist the military, the politics, that what should that who should the people follow? What should people do? And earlier you said that people need to remain committed to the revolution and they continue to support us. But I would like to ask you, what should the people do now? Who should they follow? Thank you for the question. Firstly, I would like to say that the election organized by the military is, if you look at it from the humanitarian perspective, or if you look at it from the, political positive, people are highly concerned about it. And that the military, the military is a hunter, and they are trying to transition from the illegitimate coup to, they are trying to establish themselves as a government. That's why they are desperate to do the election. So in a way, they want to be legitimate recognition from the international community, in the regional platform, in the international platform. And that's what they hope to gain at the end. And that's why also people have been very worried about this revolution. The people in the revolution also worry about it as well. As for me, an election is an important step of the election. So either for the democracy, or for the as a democracy, as a characteristic of democracy. But the context of the election is something important to look into, like how to what extent democratic standards can be in this environment. To what extent will democratic rights be respected in organizing the election? If we look at it from that angle, that this is a military hunter and they are oppressing the people, they are trying to enforce a military regime, and that they are organizing the election to say, oh, we have a party who won the election, they're going to get the power. Well, I think international community knows better than that, that as from the people of Myanmar, we, in opposing them and the legitimate election of the military, it is important that political leaders and the people of Myanmar should focus on the achievement of the Spring Revolution. Because Spring Revolution victory comes fast, because that it is important that when we are, let's say, let me give you a military analogy. If we are planning to attack a strong military base, we should not be, spending all our energy and force on a small outpost. No, the outpost is not important. It is important to focus on the military base. In the same way, Spring Revolution is key. If we focus on the Spring Revolution, then we'll be able to overcome that as well. And that, what the military has done is that, is trying to change the power from left hand to right hand, because there's going to be a proxy party who will contest election or win that. And that the political party, they are concerned that their party might be dissolved, or that as a political leaders, that they fear for their security. Then they should not focus on their own interest or party or them, and ignoring the suffering of the people. If they do that, if they decide to contest election for security's sake, for safety's sake, or so just for fear of the party dissolution, then that is purely the selfishness. Whoever contests in this election will become the historical enemies of the country, and people will oppose you too. What the people should focus on is on this winning the Spring Revolution, and in this focus, and that it is in that support for this revolution, it is important that it is important to follow that political leadership as well, the political leaders, political organization who are leading the front. So you ask that's the people who follow the revolution, energy revolution. Right now, we don't have a government, so it is important. We only have energy now as a regional government. So it is important for us to follow the energy leadership, and that it is important not only for the people, political parties, and also for the revolution organization to follow that as well. But we are not going to follow blindly. Where we are following energy leadership, we also need to be keeping our eyes open and say, this is not right, this is wrong in our resistance movement as well. We also need to try to grow. If we cannot keep our eyes open to be able to remind energy, this is not right, or that this is not something we should do. If we do that, then we'll be prolonging the revolution. We need to follow the energy leadership. However, while following the leadership, it is important to keep our eyes open, and it's also important to provide constructive criticism, and it is important also to share these messages to energy so the energy can get the leadership that get us back right on the track. Like Spring Revolution is the ultimate revolution. That's it. Yes, and resistance is the biggest, the highest revolution, but the CDM is the second most important revolution. In other countries, that the CDM in other countries only is active for a certain limited amount of time. After the certain amount of time, then the CDM movement and those civil servants, it is important to allow them to go back to their original post, because they have already dedicated and committed to a cause and during a certain period of time. If not, then if the revolution is going to take longer, they are no longer be considered as a primary force of the revolution. That because of the political changes, there is no revolution set time for the revolution. So the CDM, civil servant, they suffer already greatly for the past 2 years, and they should not be asked to do that as well. They should be that I think they are committed. They are still running strong. They should not be right now. They should be the handover should be done, and that because they are still wrong. But although there has been a wrong political leadership, they still follow it. They still follow it as well. So it is important to make sure that we need to inform the energy. We need to give our voice energy. We need to criticize energy so that the wrong political policies will not continue, like the CDM getting unnecessary suffering as well. What we are seeing incredible in this revolution, we are seeing incredible support from the people who are willing to fight back against the military resistance, with the armed resistance, but they don't have weapons. People want to fight back, they don't have the weapons. It is without the we don't get any support from the international countries or the organizations. The people have to raise their own funds, and the diaspora is raising funds to do that as well. What we need, that revolutionary government is to do is to be try to use the budget very clearly. Right now, the NUG, the way they spend, the way they structure is to they are founding like unnecessary ministry, and ministries are not important in current time. And these ministers and this ministry are getting new salaries, and these are unnecessary costs for the revolution. It is important for the people to rise up and say that NUC need to be very small, very concise. The funds that are raised should go directly into the resistance movement. And we need people to speak up. We need organizations, but they should focus on the weapons and resistance, because armed resistance is extremely important in this as well. It is important to to tighten the belt on the government expenditure and focus on only the necessary ministry. We are not the NUG is not a governance that is is administration that is governing the people. That right now that people have been supporting the funds, people have been supporting them, and that people are suffering from the economic crisis. The fundings are going down, and people are standing strong because of their commitment, and the people can do that. Is right now that the revolution in Myanmar is supported by the diaspora across the world as well. That like Israel in the Exodus, when the Israel was first established, the Jew diaspora around the world has supported it. Right now in Myanmar revolution is being supported by the diaspora across the world too. So in the second phase of this revolution, it is important that as well, with the crisis and recession, if the international diaspora can no longer support it, then what will happen to us? It is important to raise the funds, yes, but it is also important to tighten the belt in terms of expenditure, focus on the ministry necessary for the revolution, and do not give a raise higher. So it is also important to do expedition management as well. It is something we prepare for the people. People have to be prepared for this revolution. So revolution is important, and there are challenges. that is the election is one of the minor challenges of this spring revolution. That it doesn't matter Lway won the election or his proxy, but won he is known as a killer, as somebody who is committed as that war crimes and crimes of humanity. He will not get recognition from the other country. None of the countries will recognize him, even if he transforms into a civilian government. We don't have to worry about the election. Election is not important. We need to remain consistent and focus on the spring revolution. NUG has to get the political leadership, but we need to criticize NUG so they can provide effective leadership. Thank you, Sia Mintwidit. So for I think it is, so a lot of here you have shared about a lot of important points. You also highlight a lot of important things as well. So in the points that you have raised, that in my question, as well, like who should the people follow, that, that for the, that I did raise that question, and that who should the people follow the NUG. Right now, the revolutionary government NUG is in place. It is important to follow their political leadership, and that that it is also important and that it is important that it is important also to correct and receive the positive criticism, and then make a necessary political and policy adjustments as well. What is important is that so long as NUG does not providing the functions of a full-fledged government, although that it is important to focus on the revolution, and it should be more of a structure like a revolutionary government, and that the funding that raised from the people from Myanmar, the fundings are limited, with the resources are limited. It is important to focus the funds on the armed resistance, and that and it is important to ensure to look into what the revolution organizations are doing as well. That it is and it is important to contribute towards that genuine federal democracy, and that it is that the support that is coming from all the the Myanmar diaspora across the world. It is important these extremely rare resources need to be focused on what is needed as well. Thank you to all the speakers for in the second round that they have already been able to raise and highlight the point as well. So that I would also like to announce to our public that we have done 2 rounds of questions with the questions we have prepared. The speakers have already give us a response as well. Now, as for the third round, we'll be giving a turn to the comments and the question raised from the people on the chat as well, and then we'll also give a chance to speakers to add a few additional points as well. Then we'll wrap up the session.
I will read out the comments and questions that we have. One says that our goal is the federal democratic country with new democratic society, with new federal military. We cannot wandering around what would be our goal. Our goal is very explicit. So we have to do our job, and where else the State Administration Council will also do its own way. But we just have to uproot all the fascist dictatorship. We cannot dream of our good future under the military dictatorship. We have to get rid of the military dictatorship first in order for us to talk about our good future. I got this remark as well, and we also have other 3 questions as well. Now let's go through all the questions since we have time limitation, and I will read out these questions first, and then I will ask for the panelists for their response. The first question is about
sorry ကျမလွေးပိုးငယ်ကိုမေးထားတာပေါ့နော်ဒီထဲမှာ
A particular question to Siama Lway Bonge.
ကျမလွေးပိုးငယ်ကိုမေးထားတယ် Federal ပြည်ထောင်စုထက်တိုင်းရင်းသားအားလုံးစုပေါင်းနေထိုင်တဲ့
Rather than federalism as a system,
အုပ်ချုပ်စေတာပို့ပြီးတော့မကောင်းဘူးလား
wouldn't it be nice to have a system that would be shared and owned by our diverse ethnicities rather than having ethnic identification? Wouldn't it be nice to have one identity as a citizen of this country? And I also have a second question as well. The second question is for Sithu Maung.
NUG ကထိန်းချုပ်နေနေများလာရင်
NUG,
စစ်ကောင်စီရွေးကောက်ပွဲလုပ်နိုင်မယ့်အနေနဲ့လဲပို့ပြီးတော့ကျင်း
the more it has control over the territory,
စစ်ကောင်စီတည်ဝင်
the less
လုပ်လို့ရနိုင်မလားပေါ့
constituency for the SAC to run for an election. Do I understand it correctly?
မေးချင်တဲ့
And I have a third question to Sia Min Thway Thit.
sorry ဆရာမင်းသွေးတစ်ကိုမေးချင်တဲ့မေးခွန်းကဘာလဲဆိုတော့
The question is about the success of the revolution. How are we going to make sure that we win in this revolution? We need more arms, we need more weapons, but we have limited resources. But how to make sure that we cleverly use our resources in our armed struggle? If you could share your opinion. So these are all the questions that we've got, and now I would like to invite Siama Lway Bonge for the answer. Thank you. Thank you very much for this question to me. What I understand from this question is about why we need federalism. This is how I understand your question. Well, in our country, we have civil war for many years. I am sorry. I would like to repeat the question to you. The question is about why we need federalism. What if we don't use the terminology federalism, but principally speaking, wouldn't it be nice to have one citizen identity rather than all sort of diverse ethnic identities? So I'm sorry if I interrupt your response, but the question is about these lines. Thank you. Well, I do get them, but what I would like to say is that looking back at the history, there is no equality. There was no equality. So due to all this root cause, the political crisis, it's still not being able to solved in order to get everyone on equal basis. Federalism, it's to be there. Whenever we talked about federalism, ethnicity would be there. Then self identity would be there. But then again, all of this has to be discussed. We must not ignore. We must not pretend that we did not have that kind of issue. But looking at the Karenni, for example, Karenni was not part of the signatory of the Banlon Agreement. But then again, Karenni people lived in their area for generations. In the Karenni area, there are also other identities as well, ethnic identities as well. But then again, after all this 70 years, non-Burma people ask for self-determination and equality. We want to have the coming together union rather than forced marriage union. If we have the forced marriage union, the civil war will be there forever. Now we want to have a federalism that would guarantee self-determination, self-rule, shall-rule, and equality. Whenever we talked about the federalism, it's the structure that would constitute all the democratic principles. Talking about the democratic principles, election is not only the characteristics of election or of the democracy. So now, talking about the democratic value to be enhanced, we have to stop the military dictatorship. We need, in order to stop the military dictatorship, there are many ways to do so. Armed struggle is one of the ways as well. But at the same time, the people revolution, the no arm struggle, it's to be there. The no arm revolution, it's not to recognize this sham election, not to participate in this election. So now, in the getting rid of the military dictatorship, we have several ways to be, undertaken, including the armed struggle. Armed struggle alone would not be able to make the winning of the revolution. The people revolution is also a way to complement between or among all sort of ways to get rid of the military dictatorship. And once there is no military dictatorship, coexistence, equality, and living together are all the thing that would happen. I would like to give you a particular example. If this country is practicing federalism, then the people from Yangon, the people from Burma area, the people from Karenni area, the people from Kachin state will all be living together in everywhere. If we have federalism in this country, then the military would not be able to stage the coup where they will stage the coup, right? Would they stage the coup in Nipidor? No, it will not be possible for them to stage the coup. If we practice federalism, there will be government in Kachin state, there will be government in other units of the federation. Sin, in that perspective, staging the coup will not be that easy and possible, since we are now living under the unilateral country. It is very easy for the military to manipulate whatever they want to do in this country. So that's why it is very important to establish the federalism. We must not be easily cheated with all this wrong propaganda message on the meaning of the federalism by the military. Whenever the military illustrated the federalism, they talked about secession as the meaning of the federalism. So this is the propaganda. The federalism, it's not the best or the most perfect political solution for everything. But federalism is a system that we all believe is the most compatible system for Myanmar. Federalism has been asked for to be established in this country by our grandparents, by our older generations. Federalism is not only asked for in this Spring Revolution. Whenever we talked about peaceful coexistence, this is to say that the original owner of the sovereignty is the people who live in a particular place. So if you really value the principle of democracy, the needs and wants and voices of the public are to be respected. Democracy is not all about election. In the democratic society, all the mechanisms are to be run independently, such as executive, legislative, and judiciary. De facto, de jure are everything that need to be enhanced in the federalism. Thank you very much. I hope that the person who asked this question got the answer. Now I would like to invite Sithu Maung to respond the second question. Now the floor is yours. Thank you.
ကျွန်တော်ကိုမေးတာထက်ပေါ့နော်အခုကျွန်တော်နားလည်လိုက်တာတော့မိကွန်းကတော့ NUG အစိုးရအောင်မေးလို့မြင်ပါတယ်
I think that the question is for the NUG, but I am the member of the parliament, the CRPH, but nevertheless, what I can respond based on the how much territory that NUG is controlling these days. Well, in order to respond that, we have this mentioned by the Special Advisory Council. What they say is that there are only 72 townships that are controlled by the SAC after staging the coup. The Gaon Institute also mentioned about that regarding the election. Election is there in a peaceful time. Over 200 townships among 300 townships in total are facing armed conflict. And the country is still under the emergency declaration. So, in that kind of context and dynamic, one can easily understand if the election would be a true one or if this is the context for the election. Well, in order to go against the Sham election, there can be a political strategy, armed strategy, and public strategy. All of these strategies are to be coordinated and collaborative, and everyone, I believe, will go against this with all the strategies. One thing that I would like to say is that rather than responding or whatever tricks that the military pose on the public should have its own goal, and we need to have our own strategy for a long run. In the civilized democratic society, the government will listen and respond the public demonstration. But then again, in this brutal and barbaric regime, they would completely ignore the wishes and desire of the public. So at the same time, we must not recognize and participate in this sham election. That is one thing. And at the same time, we have to continue what we are doing in this revolution. I hope that I answer all of the points that you might look for. Thank you very much. And your answer is quite comprehensive. Thank you. Now I would like to before I invite Siam Thway Thit, we have a participant who raised the hand with the name Elvin. Please unmute yourself. If you have any particular question, please go. Or if you have any particular comment, please make um, it to the point. Thank you.
So actually, I don't have a question, but as a youth, I would like to give comment as well that you know that I'm also a member of the PDF, and that we are not we do not go to university. We join the CDM movement, but at the same time that people always have have a lot of confusion because it's taken a long time, and that revolution taken a long time, so that that leaders like the NUG and that and then also some of the works or some of the what the NUG said or do had an impact on the youth as well, and that like Mindati has shared before, sometimes there is we don't know what the NUG is doing, and people have no information of what they're doing there, so it's too slow, and we want to be more faster. We also it is also important that to also to disclose with the people what this what it is like as well, that the people in Myanmar, they are part of this revolution. People remain strong in this revolution as well. And that for the past 2 years, we haven't seen much progress. We haven't seen much change as well. That I think people are also feeling discouraged as well, as youth, that for us also, therefore, in our local area, my village has been entirely burned out by the community. What I'm saying is with this, that we need those. It is important for our leadership will need to be strong, remain strong and united, so that we are the following the leaders, and that it is when we see that the leaders are not united. Some of the ministers of the NUG, what the way they say things is like it's like it's sort of like they were saying whatever they want to. There are no controls over it, and that they give a lot of false hope as well. A lot of people have lost their families and housing, and so like they say like we're gonna this revolution now, and we're gonna do this day, and then you should not take false hopes to the people. We want NUG to walk the talk. We want NUG to be not to say much, but also we have a lot of CDMers in our family. There is also a limit to what extent people can suffer. People can take their crisis, because if there is this limit has reached, then it doesn't matter how the revolution movement is going on. It's very hard for people to continue as well. Since February, I have always contributed to the movement as well, but the life is hard and the economic crisis is going on. It is hard for the people as well, and that CDM people, all the people who are supporting them, we can only do that to a certain limit. We don't know how strong we can remain resistant to the movement, because economic crisis is hard on the people. I think we want our leaders to work harder, to show us concrete action, to not give false hopes. It is important to say, as a student, who the CDM, as a people who are supporting the movement, that's my suggestion to our political leaders. Thank you for the thank you for the comment. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for raising the hand, and also giving the giving their point as well. And that's what you have suggested also is important as well. So we also have a question for the one speaker as well that I would like to ask that give the question to Thway did as well. The first question is that about the weapon, how to distribute the weapons equally among the democratic forces as well. And the second question is that if the military force the illegitimate election, then is it an option for the people to do not go out and vote and just stay home, without voting? Does it also help? Yes, I would like to start with the second question. Second question, in fact, by democratically speaking, that it is important that the people have the right to vote, and people also have a right also not to vote as well. That's the right of the people. Yes, like we're saying that it is important if you just stay home and without voting, that is an option you can use because you have the right to vote as well. But the current context is that the way the military organizes, it won't be only after when we have a genuine democracy that we can know that is it, because only then there is not a situation where you can make a free decision as well. Military is oppressive, they are running as well. So it is a way, but there are also other ways for people to oppose that election. That I'm sure people will do that too. But my recommendation for the people is that if there is an impact, that people have been very dutiful, that they have been contributing to the support, they have been taking risks to this revolution as well, and that it is also important to make sure that if you are not putting yourself at risk, it is important to play it very cleverly. What I say that you should not make more sacrifices. You are already doing a lot of sacrifice. You have been also carrying out your duty as well. So we don't want to hear that people suffer more and needlessly as well. So find options. What are the options you can do to oppose the election and do that without taking the risk to your properties or your life as well? So in a way, it should be a win-win solution that it will contribute to what you want to achieve. At the same time, you should not be putting yourself at risk. That's what I would like to advise people when it comes to the election. To the first question, about the distribution of weapons, I already have answered in my first part as well. What I would like to say is that as one of the participants also has shared as well, that the CDM civil servants and the CDM students and all the people across Myanmar who has been resisted the military different ways, and that those who are joining the resistance in Myanmar, there is a limit to what they can do. Like I do agree with it as well. Some of the points I don't want to say that as well, but some of the issues I think it is important that all the people, although the leaders, will need to understand. That's why I'm saying this as well, that there are there are those who have trained, who have taken the military training, who are determined to join that they are in the liberated areas, but they have no weapons. It's been a while. They've been living. They have to, they have been living their life in that in the jungle, and it's living in the life jungle is that it's not easy, and they are going through this every day for from the mosquitoes as well as on their the insect bites into very limited food or access to medical care. They are doing it. They have received the training. They don't have the weapons. So what happened is that they have to go, and that they will have to do is that if you have a weapon, and then I will help you find the bullets. I will ask for the people to raise funds, and people are they ended as migrant workers for one person to go and fight. Other those who have the 4 or 5 will have to walk. They do whatever job they can to support, because they go from the liberated areas they go into the other countries to be able to provide assistance so that the others can get bullets and weapons, and that's something we should not happen. And this is showing how bad the image is. People are resisting it very strongly. It doesn't matter how bad the system is, that people are fighting very strongly for it, and that and they are also trying to to be that overcome the challenge. But there are limitations to that as well, that it is important for us not to go beyond the limit, and then not to push people behind that what they can do. I think it is important the leaders and those the ministers and the ministers, permanent secretaries, or all those who are in government, that's your responsibility to ensure that people do not go beyond the limit as well. It is important those who are in the leadership position focus on what is important. They should focus on what is more important, that rather than doing what is not important for the revolution. Just we not be wasting time, instead of wasting energy. It is important to focus on important for the revolution, to ensure every one of our resources and time and energy and the financial resources are focused on the Spring Revolution. That case, then that will be able to reach the goal as well. What I also like to say that please, my message also to people is that you need to remain strong as well. It is then things could go harder before we could go as well, because if you look back in the past as well, we had never had this kind of revolution. We have never been able to withstand the military coup. The coup we are facing now is the worst in Myanmar history, because it is important for people to remain strong and resilient as well. At the same time, that the revolution leaders and political leadership need to understand that that one more day of revolution means one more suffering for the people, one more village being killed, and one more civilians being killed. So it is important to look at the knowledge that the time is of essence, and children are being killed, the youth are being killed every day. So it is important to end the revolution as soon as possible. It is important to end the unrest as soon as possible. It is important to push the momentum and then develop and write that good policy to that as well. Giving first hope for the temporary relief, or the people to feel temporarily better. That's not the solution. That's not the right way to do. There is no this temporarily happiness doesn't mean anything. It is important to share what is really happening, and that we are a government. These are the issue. We need the support from the people. Be very open and frank about what the challenges they are facing, and to make it very clear and set clear policy, focus on revolution. Where can we get the weapon? Where can we get the weapon? We're not getting any support from the international community. We only have to rely on the people who get weapons. Okay. So what about Myanmar diaspora across the world? How much they can support it? They are supporting them already with their support. The support of the people inside and outside the country that we are being able to do. It's 2 years of revolution. Before the people run out of sport, before the people are totally exhausted, it is important to make sure that our efforts go geared towards the revolution, so that we can reach our goal as well. Thank you, Siamit, for a very comprehensive answer. And that I also like to say thank you to all the people as well. Right now, we have finished 2 rounds of question. We also have given also the chance to listen to the people, as well as we also have trying to give responses as well. So this week, the title is that that we have given the title of unity and opposition against the illegitimate sham election of the SAC. We have invited Lway from Stretch Initiative Forum, as I have Sithu from CRPH, and the Midute for political prisoners, activists also do that as well. Sorry, Lway, I will give you time also to give the closing. Before I summarize the close session, I would like to give the floor first to Lway. Yes, thank you. And then there was, one of the youth, I think Elvin also made a point about the youth, and that youth are also tired, people are also tired, and there is a limit to that. We are also tired too. Yes, everyone is tired in this revolution, and I totally understand that. And like a community as well, for our revolution, we are at the, we don't have, there is no way but for us to go forward. This could only was, instead of, cutting pattern. So it is important that we need to rely on the support and the resilience of people to be able to remain strong as well. But at the same time, that NUG, I think that NUG is a government as political leader. We should not, that we're not going to decide that. But democratic principles that our government that represent, we have the right to speak. We have to make sure that our government is accountable as well, and the government also needs to be need to be accountable to the people that they rely on. As if the energy is not the wrong way, if the energy doing something that is not that is not right, or that is not, they're not doing the good thing, we need to speak up, and they need to change, they need to ratify it, they need to make sure. And I encourage that it is important to speak up and criticize positively, because for us to build a future nation, Myanmar, it is our future is in the hand of the youth as well. So it is important that youth work together, that what kind of community do we want, what kind of society do we want, what kind of society we want to live in. We need also to analyze, we also need to speak up. That's all I had to say as well. And thank you to the moderator for giving me time to add to that as well. Does any one of our speakers want to say anything before we wrap up the session?
Okay.
I would like to give you time. So nothing to add. Thank you. Sham, do you want to add anything? No, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to all our speakers. So today and in the talk show, we talk about that about opposing the illegitimate sham election, and then we talk about some of the speaker also had looked back on the 1990 and that election, how the military has never tried to find a political solution and use the election as a shortcut to be able to have to legitimize their military regime, and that they always has used a fear to control the people. It is also important that that it is important all the political parties boycott and not contest or not participate in the legitimation election organized by the military. It is also important for the political parties to think of their political dignity and the support of the people they enjoy. What we change that we need in Myanmar is not just a government, but this is political system. Only then we can have equal we will have an equal guarantee that we can have a guarantee that will guarantee equal rights and recognition to all the ethnic communities. The 2020 election that is as a mere it's a political trick of the military to get some political the recognition across the world, and that it is also important for that it is important also to oppose the election, and that's why, and that it is important for the people of Myanmar to not participate in the election. There are options, different options which the people can oppose the election, legitimate election, so that we can remain and strong and dedicated together for the building of the future democratic nation as well. And another point that has been raised is that in this revolution, we have a revolutionary government. We also have that youth are also fighting strongly and resistance to stop the militarization of the military, to ensure to be that people are working so hard as well, that people are making very clear that they don't like the military, they don't support the military. It is important to continue saying that people are against the military as well, and that it is also important. Another important point to the political party is that if the political party represents the people of Myanmar, it is important to respect the will of the people and the sacrifices the people have made as well, and that it is for the political parties to take that into consideration as well, and that NUG is our revolutionary government, but it is important for us to talk to the NUG, and that to give criticism, and that so the NUG can make their changes and necessary, and that this revolution is that should not be that that this election that the military is want to organize is not a genuine, it's not democratic. It is just a political trick to to get some support as well, and that so I would like to thank our audience for joining us, also to the speakers. Well, thank you very much for giving the time. I also like to I am your moderator, Susan Thway. I would like to wish you all a very good Sunday, and the safety and security. And we would like to thank the people for continued support to our talk show as well as for the revolution. Thank you. Please remain safe, and let's remain resilient for us. Have a good evening. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.